This is Carroll Moon with KidFit. I've also got Jeb Moon, my son, here with me. Most importantly, though, we've got Coach Chad Grier from Oceanside Collegiate Academy to speak with us today. First, as we go, though, I would like to spend just a second to tell you about KidFit. We're a charity whose goal is to provide mentoring and opportunities for all kids using sports as a conduit. There are a lot of kids that I coach who don't even have regular food to eat, and that breaks my heart. There are a lot of kids that have just simply don't have opportunities, and so we want to make camps available to those, to all kids. A lot of kids don't have access to great trainers who can also be mentors for them, and so our intention is to have facilities to do that training starting here in Lynchburg, Virginia. And then also for kids who are capable of doing more, a lot of times they don't have funding to be on travel teams, and so we're going to do that as well, starting with 7-on-7 team here in Lynchburg. Please do follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. This weekly video role model series will continue to post. So thank you. So I want to jump into Coach Grier. He's there at Oceanside today. Coach, can you tell me about your playing career?
Yeah, I wish it looked more like that picture of that kid in that playing career. His was a little bit better than mine already by a long shot. I played, which I think is important, and I encourage kids to do. I played 3 sports in high school. I think it's great for kids to do as much as they can. I think that there's too much pressure to specialize in any sport, right now for younger guys. And I really enjoy seeing kids play multiple sports and stay competitive and use different body parts and respond to different coaches. And I was fortunate enough to be able to do that coming up through youth programs and in high school. I went to play for University of Richmond out of high school. Played for Coach Dallas Shealy, who ultimately retired from Richmond to become a national president of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. And Coach Shealy was a huge influence. I'd never heard of Richmond, frankly, being in Charlotte. I hadn't gotten out much. It was before Charlotte was, Charlotte. I'm a little older than you are, Jeb, but it was a great opportunity for me there. But after 2 years, I think probably my ego got a little bit bigger than my helmet, and I wanted to play at a bigger school, and ended up transferring to East Carolina. And I played there. I say played sparingly. I still hold a record for most consecutive quarters wearing a baseball hat, which isn't a great record to have if you're a quarterback. But got to learn from some really great coaches. My first year there, I went to play for Kevin Gilbride under Art Baker. Coach Gilbride had a great career in the NFL as the head coach of the Chargers, coordinator mostly for the New York Giants. He was one of the original run and shoot guys, so I learned a lot from him in that regard. And then the next year was Mark Richt, now at University of Miami. Coach Richt continues to be a huge influence on me as a coach and as a man, frankly. And his style was a little more pro style, at least at that time. And then after a year, he left back to Florida State, and I finished my career under a guy named Steve Logan, who had a great head coaching career at East Carolina, then ended up, I think it was most recently quarterback coach for the 49ers or for the Buccaneers, but he brought a lot of West Coast influence, Lindy and Fonnie kind of stuff. So I didn't have the playing career that was my plan, but God gave me an opportunity to learn from some incredible minds with very diverse backgrounds. So I feel like I got a PhD in football, offensive football anyway. So if, a lot of what I do now as a coach comes from, there's things I've stolen from those guys.
That's fantastic, Coach, and that's a good segue. Can you tell me about your coaching career? I know you're a humble guy, but talk about a little bit about some of the opportunities and successes you've had as well, please.
Well, I started coaching in college. My dad was a coach, and he I remember my dad died of cancer at 57, and really young, and hated that. Obviously, still do, but he had impacted so many people through coaching, and just such a great example for me with that. I was in college, East Carolina. I started coaching in basketball at the Elm Street Gym. Just loved to coach, be around young people, and really through Coach Shealy and Coach Rick in particular, those guys showed me that you can also use coaching as a way. God uses where your feet are planted, and I think that I can use my ability to coach or motivate, or specifically now with football to hopefully influence and in my own way be my own ministry through coaching to reach and impact young people in a positive way. And I got to caveat that with I'm no saint. I don't pretend to be. But I also know that God uses all kinds. And, whether I was in business before, he can use me there, or you or anybody else. But if you have a heart and willingness to be in his will and to serve, I think, he wants us to serve from where we are. And he led me into coaching kind of out of business. I spent a lot of years in IT type companies. But I always coached. So I coached youth leagues, and then when my kids came along, I'd done a little bit in high school, and then an assistant, and I just kind of coached my kids, raised them through, and then kind of got the bug to get back into high school again. I was fortunate enough to coach for my high school coach, Larry McNulty, who I still think is the best coach I've ever, motivator, game planner, just as an incredible person to learn from. So I coached with him. I coached with Charlie Griffin out of Greensboro, Western Guilford High School. Unfortunately, coach has passed away, but just a tremendous role model and influence for kids. Really used football the right way to impact that community at Western, and then so really helped shape me as a coach. And that was such an important part for me, was being surrounded by really great men who use football as a way to impact young people. Truthfully, I was an offensive coordinator at a school in a small private school in Huntersville, Lake Norman area where I'm from, and the opportunity came up to be a head coach at a startup program that, there's no way I can do that. I have a real job. I need to, earn an income, and, and God just made it clear to me that that's where I needed to be. And so we started a program at Davidson Day, and just the only way to explain the success we had there was, that was God's hand all over it, with the kids he brought and the families he put there and the coaches, just an incredible coaching staff. And as a staff, we were able to, do some great things with the kids who worked incredibly hard to earn their success. And excuse me, we won 4 state championships. We lost one. I probably remember that one, unfortunately, more than any of them. But we made it to 5 in 6 years. I lost in the semis the other year. So we had a really good run there, and 6 years of varsity play. Then I got led to be here at Oceanside. It didn't make a whole lot of sense. In fact, I told the kids here I was on the way down to be introduced, and I got behind a log truck on a 2-lane highway, and I just said, what am I doing? I'm leaving my home, my family, my friends, and there was a Lauren Daigle song came on the radio, Trust in You, and I just started crying like a baby. It just touched me so hard in my heart that, I just got to trust, and he has affirmed for me over and over that this is where I'm supposed to be. I know you probably alluded to some opportunities that I've had. Last year I got to coach in the Carolina Bowl, the South Carolina 6th grade All-Star team, which was a lot of fun. I've done a lot of FBU camps and teams. I was blessed to have an opportunity last year to be the head coach of the Army game in San Antonio, and a couple years prior to serve as a receiver coach in that same game. And but just the talent and the organization and the Army, that's kind of the pinnacle. I think it's hard to, not ever going to top those experiences, but just really proud to have had an opportunity to serve and be associated with that game and those kids and the people that run it. So
that's fantastic. Amazing, Coach. I didn't know or realize that you've been doing the youth stuff since you were in college and things too. That explains why you're so good with kids. So that's thank you. Why is Jesus so important to you? I mean, that's one thing, just being around you at at the FBUs and things and even so far in this discussion, you talk about God and how he leads you to do things. Can you tell me why he's so important to you?
Well, that's just it. I think that, all things, come through him, and that's just my faith, and it's been strengthened by others through the game. To me, it's a very strong connection for me, my faith through football. And I don't again pretend to be someone holier than thou kind of thing. I just am humbled by the fact that he's chosen me and put me in places and opportunities to serve that has allowed me to have some success. And that success I know comes from him. And when I'm having the most success is when I'm in the Word on a daily basis, and when I'm praying on a daily basis in my quiet time in the morning, and when I'm using what he puts in my heart to go out and serve in our program, in our school, in our community, and that's when I'm the happiest. So things kind of fall into place when I just turn it over and trust. And like that song says, I mean, sometimes he doesn't part the waters I want him to part, or move the mountains I need him to move, but his plan is always turned out to be the right plan. And as I've gotten older, I've learned to trust that a little bit more. I've the camp I've done for a long time, our life verse has always been Jeremiah 29:11, and trying to remind kids that, God's got a plan, and it's a great plan. As long as it may not be your plan, and it might not be in your time, but if you trust, He's got a great plan for you.
That's great. How about football? It's been a big part of your life. Why is it so important to you?
I'm just, I don't know how to explain it. It's such a part of who I am. Again, I go back to my dad. He just, he was the first in our family to go to college. He put himself through on a GI Bill, but he played football in Germany while I was in the service with a guy, Andy Russell, was a great linebacker from the Steelers. And my dad got involved with coaching, and again, just the impact he had on kids through that, just really, I think, just kind of got in my blood. I love the game. I love playing basketball growing up. I probably was a better basketball player just because it came more natural to me. I was, a tall, skinny kid, and ball seemed to go in the basket, but I loved football. And I had to work really hard to have any success at it. And I think that maybe was part of it, that, the reward of wasn't instant gratification, but having to really pour into it continuously to have that success felt really good when I had it. I think now as an older person and as a coach, I think that football is the best microcosm of life that there is, and done right, it's such a great teacher of life lessons to young people. And I was fortunate to have some of that. There's a lot of kids that I recognize that don't have those kind of that structure and discipline in their life that football can provide, and I think that kids are starved for it. I think that if you ask them, hey, you want to be disciplined or you want to have a structure, most probably say, not really. But I think once you provide that, and you provide consistent feedback, and you provide an environment of trust and love, you earn the right to get on them. And I'm going to get on them, but they know where it's coming from. And I think ultimately kids respond to that. And I've seen kids over and over become better and better as football players, and more importantly, as young men.
That's awesome. And what about the combination of Jesus and football? That combination is important to you.
Well, I just think, for me anyway, it just goes so hand in hand. And one of the things that I'm again, my place in the football world is limited, and who I'm not some NFL guy or big time college guy. I coach a small high school program, but God has put me in front of people, and the message that He's put on my heart to share, that if it reaches one, that one matters, and that one maybe share with somebody else. But I think it's one that's relevant to all of us, young or old, and it's that each of us were created perfectly in His image. That's in the Book of Truth. That's the fact. And there's so many issues today with bullying and depression and suicide. And the fact is that if kids or adults, for that matter, are looking for somebody else to give them confidence, you're good enough, you're attractive enough, you're athletic enough, you have enough money, you have a nice enough car, all those things aren't real. What's real is that you were created perfectly in His image, and that's where your confidence should come from. No matter what somebody says about how you dressed, or somebody trying to give a kid a hard time about anything, their confidence should come from knowing that the Creator of all things made you perfectly in His image. And that's a concept that it's hard for me to imagine that, Jeb and I don't look a whole lot alike, but we're both created perfectly in His image. Mm-hmm. He knows every hair on our head. Even though mine are thinning out, He still knows them. The fact is that if that's my confidence, then nobody can ever take that from me. And if I take that confidence and combine that with that I know I can do all things through God who strengthens me, and I know that God's got a great plan for me, not to harm me, but to prosper me, give me hope in the future. And that's what living here is about. And when I can share that message through the game of football, if I try to go up to Jeb and just say, hey buddy, how you doing? Met you on the street, and I'm just some old guy, and try to give him that message, most kids that goes in one ear out the other, just some old guy talking. But if a kid looks at me as somebody can help them with the game of football, having a better high school experience, getting to the next level, making something out of their life with it, well, now all of a sudden I have some ethos, and where they may actually listen to what I have to say. I can just pour that same message in, sprinkle some football around it, and now all of a sudden it actually gets heard and matters. So to me, it's I can't do football without Jesus, and He's the one that's provided all these opportunities for me. Trust me, the success we've had on the field isn't because I'm some great coach. He's put kids and parents and instilled values and work ethic that have made all that success happen. I just happen to be the benefactor because my name gets on the top line. Mm-hmm. The reality is it takes a village to do a football program right. I've had incredible assistant coaches. I have a great staff now that can't really explain how these guys came together other than that God wanted us together. And I don't take that for granted. And so for me, football doesn't happen without Jesus and his will and getting in it and doing what he wants done.
That's great. So last question, Coach. What is your message to kids and parents who are going to watch this?
It's probably a summary of all that a little bit. I mean, it's, look, encourage your son or daughter to play multiple sports and take advantage of every opportunity out there. And as a parent, let the worst part of coaching, and I hear this from anybody that I know that coaches, the worst part of coaching is dealing with parents. Little Johnny, needs to be the quarterback. He's got to be the point guard. He's got to be the pitcher or the shortstop. He's got to bat fourth or third or whatever. Let Johnny go develop and be coached and be a teammate first and learn to be a servant leader and be respectful and be on time and do things that, make it. These coaches, not very few people coach for the income. They coach for the outcome. And, being supportive of that, whether it's going out, working exactly the way you want it to work out for your son or daughter or not, trust the process. And, if your son or daughter's in harm's way, it's a different deal. But, don't put that kind of pressure on your son or daughter or your coach about playing time or position or those kind of things. Be supportive. And there's a great thing out there about the rules of parenting. I think Morgan Wooten put out from DeMatha years ago. I encourage parents to go look at those rules, and I think it'd be a better experience for everybody. I think your son or daughter will have a better experience. I think the coach certainly will. But at the end of the day, the real message is be confident in who you are, is created perfectly as a child of God in his image, and live life that way, knowing that he's got a great plan for you. And today's the day he's made. I tell kids all the time, it's a great day to be alive. So enjoy the day for today for what it is and make the best of it. And then as long as you wake up the next day and you hit your elbows, you're not knocking wood, you're doing okay. So you can do it again.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, Coach, thank you so much for taking the time. I've got Oceanside's URL there for the web address there, but I'm very grateful for you sharing your story with me and with Jeb and with all the people who will watch this. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Carroll. Appreciate it, Bob. Good luck with your ministry. That's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.